Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to, at long last, the moment you've all been waiting for, episode number 5 of the Arlington Angle. I am Colby Ty, also known as Colby with a K, here on the podcast with Luke Sharp, Caden Hope, and Gus Burns. So it's been a while since we've done episode 4 of the Arlington Angle. It has been almost a 1 month gap since our last episode, and I think everyone pretty much knows why we've had such a big gap, but between all the power outages, the storms, girls basketball making state, just a lot of things that have just prevented us from hopping on the mic and filming another episode. But here we are, episode 5, and yeah, it's going to be a good time. So,
We're going to have some students come in the background here just for one.
we're going to have some students come into the background, just bear that in mind. So what we're going to be talking about on this episode, I'll take the intro, and I will do the Arlington review, talk about what is happening here at the Big A. We're going to talk about some March Madness games. We have finally made it to the Sweet 16. Hope all of your brackets are holding up well. I know the last perfect one fell a while ago. That's going to be Caden for March Madness. We're going to have Luke talking about MLB opening day that was yesterday, and it was awesome. It was great stuff. And we're going to have Gus talking about all of the power outages and kind of how everybody held up through all those trying times and how the community helped each other out. So I'll kick things off with what happened here at Arlington in the past few weeks, since it's been a while. So we had our winter sports seasons conclude. We did have our girls basketball team making the state tournament for the first time in 24 years. They were the number 6 seed, but they did lose in the first round to number 3 seeded Milford, who made the championship game but lost to Lincoln Christian, who took home the title in Class C1 girls at the Bob Devaney Sports Center and the Pinnacle Bank Arena in Lincoln. And that was a great time. We brought all the students down. I think everyone here went, right? Did everyone here go?
Yeah.
Because you were in band.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone here went. So it was a great time. Hats off to our girls basketball teams for another incredible season, and we look forward to next year. But now moving towards spring sports, just started. The weather's finally gotten nice. We had our boys baseball team starting out the season 1-1. They won their home opener against Takema Herman 9-2, and our fellow broadcasting student slash podcaster Tim Halley hit a triple, which was pretty hype. And yes, baseball team did a nice job over Takema, and we wish them luck throughout the rest of their season. Track had a few meets canceled because of the weather and because of the blizzards. So now they are set to open their season right now at the College of St. Mary's indoor meet today. And unfortunately, me and Gus would be at that. But that brings us to our next point. We are not going to that because our musical got postponed, and we are opening tonight at 7, and we run through Sunday. So shows are Friday at 7, Saturday at 7, and Sunday at 2. Come on down. See a great show. You'll see me on stage, Gus running things on the soundboard and doing a great job, and have a good time. It'll be awesome. And that is pretty much it. Just the last push towards the end of the year kind of starts now. We got ACT testing coming up very shortly for juniors and pre-ACT for sophomores, and Luke gave me a nice grin there. Juniors, we wish them luck on that testing, and we got graduation stuff going out right now for all the seniors and getting prepped for that, so it's been good. All right, now I will kick things over to Caden to talk about arguably the biggest tournament of the year, March Madness. Caden, what do you got?
Just March Madness has reached the Sweet 16, and brackets-wise, perfect bracket fell down once. I think it was UConn lost, or
I think it had Illinois over somebody.
Yeah,
Illinois lost. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's no perfect brackets, and then second chance brackets came out. But last night, Alabama beat BYU and hitting a record of 25 three-pointers and scoring 113 points in a college basketball game.
They also attempted the most threes in a March Madness game ever. They went 25 for 51, I believe.
Wow.
They scored 93 points off of three-pointers and free throws.
That's pretty good. That's unreal. Because I saw that, I was like, this is a college basketball game, guys. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, there's either no defense, which wasn't the case because
No.
they held their opponents to 83 points, or they literally were just unconscious, and it was the latter.
83 points is still a lot in a college basketball game. I mean, there's really, if you're BYU and you give up 113, but that's really Alabama's game. They speed you up so much that, like Caden and I were talking before, it was you can play twice the offense and half the defense, and you could figure out some way for it to work. I mean, I don't think that in the long run, if Alabama wants to make a run to the championship, it's not going to work against Duke or like a good team. But I mean, against BYU, just running them out of the gym sometimes, it gets her done.
Yeah.
And then we got Florida beating Maryland. I mean, there's a lot of controversies around Maryland right now with their coach, but sad exit. I mean, that was a young team, so I'm pretty sure they'll be back.
Oh yeah, they'll be back, and I think a lot of teams that we've seen make good runs with a lot of young players will be back next year and for years to come. So it's going to be good. Obviously, we had the transfer portal open. I have a lot of thoughts about that, but we won't get into all that. So that did open, and a lot of students did enter the transfer portal that either had already been eliminated or student athletes of the NCAA.
And the students are still in quotation because who knows how much work they actually do.
And yeah,
we all know Johnny Manziel didn't do a lick of homework.
Yeah, correct. Cooper Flagg's not picking a geometry test over getting some shots up in the gym. And that's just how it is. And that's just priorities. And if you're Cooper Flagg, you're allowed to do that. Like, no one's going to frown upon that, I don't think.
Probably because he's going
a lot
to the
of
league
people
next
definitely
year.
do, but I mean, he doesn't care. If he flunks out of school, he has a ticket to the NBA.
Correct.
Correct.
Like a
He's got an
guaranteed
NIL
first
right now.
overall
He can
pick
go to
right
the NBA
now.
whenever he wants to. He could wait another year. He holds all the cards right now.
Yeah.
They do say you're a student before an athlete, but at a certain point, that doesn't hold as much rigor if you could just drain threes and get paid to do that.
Yeah.
Instead, so.
Well said.
Speaking of Cooper Flag, Duke beat Arizona. I mean,
Caden was trying to tell me Caleb Love would get her done one more time.
yeah, well, he was known as the Duke stopper when he was at UNC too. So
Yeah.
but he did have an amazing performance. He had like 35 points and
Yeah.
almost beat Duke basically by himself.
Yeah, I saw a stat that Caleb Love was the first Division I player to have 35 against a 1 seed in the tournament. He was the first ever player to have 35 plus points and no turnovers versus a 1 seed.
I mean,
which is very
the thing
cool.
that
That's
sucks about him
impressive.
is he's a good player, but he's not going to go very far. in the
Correct, and
draft.
with his injury now, obviously, our hearts go out to him. If that's his last game, good way to go out, I guess.
I think it has to be. I think he's a senior's too old.
Yeah, I think he's like 24 right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't.
He'll be-
We've seen people do it before, but
He'll be like a
he can't
second round
challenge
pick.
this.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And then Texas Tech has a major comeback against Arkansas. When I was watching that game, I thought Arkansas was going to
Yeah.
beat Texas
Yeah,
Tech.
halfway through, I was there like, dang, Arkansas is for real. And then I saw the score the next day, and I was like, you sold the bag,
First
John. You sold
first
the bag.
overtime game. I think though, if we look at Arkansas' season, I say saying they made it to the Sweet 16 and played in a close game against number 3 seed Texas Tech, I think they'd be happy with that result. Because going into the season, like you just signed Calipari, but it's his first year at an Arkansas team who wasn't very good last year. So gotta
Just
be
wait till
happy
he gets
with what
those
you got.
recruits.
Yeah, just wait till he gets enough NIL. He can
Correct. Just like it
buy
was
any
with
player he
Nebraska,
wants.
where we started to have a little bit of life when Coach Rule came, and then we landed Raiola. I think a lot of that success can translate to basketball and to especially March Madness. You see those double-digit seeds make a good run, and then they get a lot of transfers, and then they're a top 5 seed in the tournament next year. So yeah, I think Arkansas is going to be really good. They're going to be back. They've always been a good program, but especially with their coach, got a lot of fire. He's been okay in the tournament in years past, but yeah, especially if I think he can make this Arkansas team potentially a Final Four contender in the next few years.
And then for the games today, we got Michigan State versus Ole Miss, which I think will be a close one, but I'm going to have Michigan State taking
Oh
that
yes,
one.
go Spartans! Yes,
And then we got Kentucky versus Tennessee. I'm going to have to go with Tennessee on that one. I just can't trust Kentucky. And then
I gotta go Tennessee. They're just so much older.
God, I'll go Kentucky. I'll go Kentucky. They've won close games. They can get it done. I'll trust Kentucky.
And then we got Michigan versus Auburn. I want to see Michigan win this, but I don't know if they can get it done because I don't think. I mean, Creighton took Auburn to their limits.
I think, yeah. I mean, Creighton has had that great of a season, like compared to expectations, and Auburn is a solid team, but I don't know. They looked like they had some weak spots when they played Creighton because
and teams are going to see that on film too.
They didn't hold Creighton to, I don't know, 5-minute scoring drought. I don't know how close that game.
Yeah,
I don't know how
it
that
was
game
7
ends.
minutes till they scored in the second.
Yeah,
half.
it was crazy, but I think Michigan is just they play a physical, high level brand of basketball that Auburn does also play.
Mm-hmm.
But if Auburn had trouble against a Creighton team who's really not that physical, I mean, who knows what Michigan could do to them because they've been playing Big Ten ball all year, and Big Ten was solid this year, better than expectations.
Yeah, I think that's the one region that I'm doing the best in is the one game that I missed in that like region of the bracket is Creighton over Louisville. I picked Louisville. But yeah, I got Michigan in the bracket. Go Wolverines, man.
And then for the final game, we got Purdue versus Houston, which is, I think, probably might be the
Houston's-
most uninterested.
Yeah,
matchup.
it is Houston's game to win or lose. I mean,
Hot take, having a bunch of high-seeded teams left makes March Madness better.
Well, yeah, because
We may not have a Cinderella team we can all get behind and root for, but it's high-level basketball. It's the highest level we'll see all year, and every game's going to be. I mean, look at last night. Almost every game was close except for Alabama and BYU, which that put up record numbers of points anyways.
And then more times than not, once the Cinderella teams go far, they just get stomped.
yeah, it's been interesting. Yeah, we'll see how who advances. I do like that they play. You have the Sweet 16 and then immediately just move on to the Elite Eight, and then we'll know who's in the Final Four and who's playing in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
All I got one more thing to say is Roll Tide.
Ooh, okay.
Go Duke. Win it all. Win it all, Cooper Flag.
All right.
Nah, you don't know if I can go that far. I think
All right.
I want to see Cooper Flag go out and play good, but I don't want Duke to win.
Yeah.
Can't have Duke
I don't
win.
think anyone wants Duke to win, but
You just said you did.
I want Duke to win. I don't know that they're going to win.
Choosing
But I have them in my
number one
bracket.
seed is
Anyway,
crazy.
all right. Moving right along to our next point of discussion, we have Luke with MLB opening day. Take it away.
So, first day of baseball comes around, and it's always a different vibe because most sports on opening day, their first game, people are excited, ready to go. I just feel like baseball brings a different kind of energy to it because, you've waited all year, and all the games are it's just exciting, and all the games are competitive and close. I feel like there are very few blowouts on opening day, and just good baseball. Best baseball in the world. Fans love it. Just the vibe in the ballparks are high. So, just few big points to hit. We have rookie sensation Paul Skeens pitch for the Pirates. He pitched very well, held the Marlins to a few runs, and they lost it in the end. As once they brought in relief pitchers, that got tough. Yankees took care of the Brewers at home. And Austin Wells being the first catcher to hit a leadoff home run since the year 1900. The Yankees have played 18,000 games since then. Leadoff home run in opening day. First catcher to hit a leadoff home run opening day. And then Cubs beat the Diamondbacks. We got a lot of Cubs fans this area. Red Sox beat the Rangers. Royals dropped one game to the Guardians. Royals did not look great. White Sox, who have a historically bad season last year, start the season off with a win against the Angels. And not much really more to talk about. I mean, it's baseball. We got 161 games left. Everyone's kind of excited, I think baseball throughout the year, each game matters, but the whole season is more of a game rather than just one individual game. It just keeps carrying on because you could be down halfway through the season and make come back towards the end, whereas in most sports, it's every game matters. I think baseball is just as a whole, the whole season matters.
Yeah, I think it's a more holistic review of how you've done the entire season than especially how you do down the stretch.
because
the Astros, I'll use my team as an example. The Astros were below 500 for quite a long ways last season, and then they won 18 of 25 over their last few, and they made the postseason. They lost in early, but it's fine. They made the postseason. But it's just a holistic review of how you've done all season, and every game matters. It's also the one sport where I'm not like in basketball, I'm like, oh, the Warriors play every 2 to 3 days. Baseball, I can't watch every Astros game. Like it's just not feasible. You just can't.
Yeah.
We have lives, so
I definitely feel like that's a huge thing with baseball is the fact that there's just such a huge amount of baseball being played. Because like with, let's say like with NFL sort of stuff, like, or with any just football in general, you only have like low double digits of games to play. So like each one is like super huge on like, hey, did we win this or did we lose? But I think you're right with the kind of analysis of like baseball being, it's more like ebb and flow with like how you're doing more on the macro scale rather than the micro, because that allows for, just with like such huge amount of like so many games being played all the time, it allows for a lot more baseball and a lot more time to kind of see how the season goes versus just, hey, you've got your like one rival in football, and then if you lose, too bad, you're out of the season. So
Yeah, in baseball too, like less in football and basketball, but what happens today, you kind of got to think, well, maybe if this game's going bad, we got to think more about next week.
Yeah.
Whereas in football, you're focused on, oh, we got to come back and win this game. Or baseball, what about tomorrow, the next day, next week? It's, for our pitching and arms and stuff, just you just got to keep it relatively low and just think of a strategic scale rather than win now. Because in baseball, you drop a game, so what? I mean, you just got to win the next 2 days and you'll be fine. You covered it.
Yeah, I see. We have a question here, a very valid point actually that I want to bring up. This will be our last point on opening day. If you have so many games throughout the season, like we said, why does opening day matter so much? And you kind of touched on this.
I said opening day matters so much because baseball as an atmosphere is just a good time for people to get together and kind of celebrate something they love so much. And opening day is kind of like the tradition that starts all of that. It's kind of like 4th of July, You go celebrate it because you're celebrating the United States as a whole. Opening day, I think, is a celebration of baseball. And maybe not really baseball, the sport, but baseball as a community and getting around something you all agree on. So it just stop all the disagreement. And
almost like baseball as a culture.
Yeah, it's definitely a culture. And opening day is a good representation of the culture, which is why it matters so much.
Yeah, correct.
I would definitely say it would probably also like build momentum for your season. Like if you want to get a good start, like if you, let's say like you jump the blocks at like a track meet, like you're going to be struggling. Think about that the whole rest of the race. And if you're doing that at baseball, if you lose the first game, then that's going to be like on your mind for a while there.
Yeah.
And even if a loss is just a drop in the bucket because there's so many of them, losing the first one's still kind of big for that mentality and kind of like, can I really win this? Like, is my team a losing team or not?
Yeah, especially if you open at home and you lose your home opener, that's just crushing to fans and everybody. So shout out to the White Sox, honestly, for pulling it off on opening day. We'll see how they do. And I'll just say, as we get towards move into the heart of college season and we march towards the College World Series and everything, it's just a great feeling. I mean, it's awesome. It's a lot of people would say that's America's sport right there.
Yeah.
It's the greatest show on dirt, man.
It is.
All right. Moving right along to our last topic of conversation, we have Gus with the power outages and the blizzards and kind of how we all handled it. So what happened, Gus?
Well, so it would have been last Wednesday now. We got a full weekend change to kind of analyze it now, but the winter weather came through and just absolutely wrecked shop. I mean, I would say it was a lot worse than I was expecting. That wind just, it comes through and, power poles are brittle. I mean, they're not as a majority, they're not mostly made of steel. They're mostly just, wooden sticks in the middle of nowhere. So when they go down, they snap and it's just kind of over. And it was kind of a test for, us around here to like crisis management sort of stuff where it's like, how fast can we get stuff back online? And I mean, it's hard to do that because it was kind of just an everywhere issue. It's not like a tornado where it just like cuts through a swath of one place, and it's like kind of like a debris field that you can kind of like think about where like we really need to focus this area, and then here's like the lesser area, and then you're fine out here. It's more so of the wind has been blowing across the entire state. Everything's knocked down. Where we can go from here, and I mean, kind of humbling almost, like to get back to like living without creature comforts and like not having like power on the radio, like just stuff you take for granted, like say like taking like a hot shower, like all of a sudden you can't do that, or you can't just like you don't just plug into your phone every night and just it magically charges. All of a sudden you have to be like thinking, do I need to conserve power? Do I need to go charge my battery bank and everything? So just not necessarily like life or death scenarios for most people, but it really definitely kind of like calls into attention like what you take for granted on a daily basis. And I think that's honestly a good thing to like, stay humble and like down to earth about that, because you don't know what you've got till it's gone. So, and all of a sudden power's gone. So
Yeah, correct. I mean, I woke up, my power went out about 11 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. And then, it was like, I can't get a glass of water. I can't turn on the lights in my kitchen. We can't do our laundry. We can't do anything really.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of, I guess just how did everybody cope? What'd y'all do? For me, it was a lot of board games, cribbage by candlelight, and turkey sandwiches, and just chilling. I read a book for a little bit. That was the first time I'd read a book in probably a month. But yeah, what everybody did.
Before we get going here, I just got to ask Colby, how long was your power out for?
My power was out from Wednesday at 11 a.m. to Thursday at 8 p.m.
Okay. And how long was Gus's power out for?
I got it back this Tuesday, so life's good.
Okay, so
Two very
different stories.
Hey, Luke, how long was your power out?
I got it back. It went out probably Wednesday morning about 7 o'clock and got it back Saturday night.
Yeah, that same for me.
So Colby,
we were slumming it out longer than Colby
we were thugging it out, but you can tell your story now. I just wanted to point that fact out because Gus definitely kind of suffered the most out of any of us.
Yes, and yes, kudos to you. I changed the Eagle update because we said we don't want the power to come back on. So we had the power go off instead because that happened for everybody, and some people still don't have power. Like Black Label in Fremont, we're going to have the cast party for musical, and they're still out. They're still out of power, so we had to move it to tomorrow.
Power?
Yeah, that's what they've said. Yeah, a couple places in Fremont. I think they're one of the only places in Fremont that doesn't have power. They're just restoring like some of the outskirts of downtown.
They went to Chipotle and Aldi's like first before like ever like I think I saw and heard.
Which is
that they went to those restaurants first before like the town.
Yeah, and it's strange because Black Label is right next to like Baker's and the mall.
Yeah,
it's right down the street from the mall. So it's interesting that those places have power, but Black Label doesn't. But anyway, we had I'm seeing 80 hours without power for some. Was the worst of it. Most of downtown Fremont is still out. Over 1,000 poles to replace from OPPD. 500-year storm. We won't see another storm like that for 500 years.
Probably. When me and Timmy went to Bellevue one time, we took the way to like go to Elkhorn.
Yeah.
Leaving from Arlington. And we just saw a line of like power trucks just turning and going down the road to Arlington.
They were just up and down. I mean, there were so many trucks in this area.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I believe they asked to use our bus barn as like a station for them to set their stuff up and just like as a home base. Yeah. So that's neat.
Yeah, that actually kind of ties into my next point. Is the fact that it really was kind of a way to bring us together and almost like kind of a rallying cry around which everyone could there's a lot of people offering support and you see a lot of like family members saying, hey, like you could go over to my aunt's house and stay there because they got power or something. So a lot of people like being willing to open their arms and like be willing to be giving it. I think that's a really, really good thing. And I mean, everyone always says, very divided times, but it's good to have something that, people can get behind and kind of show Nebraskan hospitality that we're kind of known for.
Yeah,
so.
And this will definitely go down, and people will say the 2025 blizzard it will go down. Nebraska's, especially this kind of area of eastern Nebraska, has been through the ringer. We had the flood in 2019. Obviously, everybody had COVID, but I'll mention that. We had what was the tornadoes that hit like Elkhorn?
Yeah, and then there was also another flood around the tornadoes earlier in 2024 too.
Tornadoes 24, and now we had the blizzard of 25, and a lot of things delayed, a lot of things canceled. But yeah, to your point, Gus, I think it does really make you appreciate what you got, and it makes everybody stronger as a community. And hopefully that'll kind of take us into the future and prove that we can get through anything. If something that drastic does happen again in the near future.
Yeah. So anyone got any more fun stories about what happened or
No.
Oh gosh.
I unfortunately came down with walking pneumonia while I was while I got power out. That coincided. I got the day before is when it really started kicking in because I took a day off of school after that. So that was not ideal, I would say. But I mean, it just kind of goes to show that like it's a little harder to live in comfortableness when you don't got power. So it's like kind of calls the thing like, oh, if you're gonna make like a cup of hot like tea with honey or something.
Yeah,
like,
you couldn't make anything hot.
Like you can't do that. So it's like definitely just comes back to just show you got to be stay humble. Honestly, like just make sure that you're not like too headstrong about like, oh, I've got everything I could ever want, because it can get taken away like that. So
Did you also very rudely pass it to your brother, perchance?
that may have happened.
I'm being signaled that happened.
I would like to put it on the record that I did quarantine in my room for a good majority of the power outage.
Okay.
It's on the record.
I feel like I did what I could.
Didn't do good.
I'm not exactly a hero.
Didn't do a good enough job.
As OPPD did all they could to restore the power, Gus did all he could to prevent the pneumonia from
I would
spreading.
say I was hardly on the front lines putting up power poles, but I was doing what I could in my neck of the woods, and
He was.
There you go.
Unfortunately, if we had some casualties, I mean, Sam unfortunately came down with it, but I mean, we'll never forget him. So
All right.
Yep.
stay strong.
Well, that is going to wrap up episode 5 of the Arlington Angle. Thank you all so much for listening. If all goes to plan, we will be back in due time for hopefully next week for episode 6. And come see our musical this weekend. And for those of you that don't have power yet, that did lose power for a long time, thanks for listening. We hope you're doing better, and our hearts go out to us and the communities that were affected. So, Colby with a K with Gus Burns, Caden Hope, Luke Sharp signing off for now. Take care, everyone.